Trey.
Yes, sir. We are back with another edition of the West Coast Podcast. Appreciate you guys for checking us out, tuning in every other Friday, and we appreciate you checking out Shane's channel. Shane's been grinding mad and hasn't really been streaming much, but he's definitely been grinding mad, and he's been covering you guys with the tips. As Madden is officially out, we are in the prime of the Madden season. And on top of that, we got some NFL preseason action that has been going on the last couple weeks. Um, Probably the biggest news of which is the appearance of Shadur Sanders, who played pretty well in the preseason after all the polarizing stuff that he has accomplished. And I know for the Patriots, they did pretty well. And the Seattle Seahawks, which is kind of weird, they had their first game against the Raiders with Pete Carroll on the other side, and you had Geno Smith on the other side, and I think Jamal Adams too was with the Raiders at the time, which is the former Seahawks. So that game was kind of a family affair for them. But before we get into all the topics and the frustration that always occurs at the start of the Madden season, we should just be kind of used to it by now. But Shane, how have you been doing? And you told me before this podcast that you've been struggling a little bit with the glitches and stuff, and I want you to kind of go off on, because we've been talking about the glitches and the stuff that we have to deal with, but what I want to ask you just off the bat is EA help. What is the process of getting in touch with EA? And if you had to rate their customer service over the years out on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate it? Don't hold back.
Um, it's I'm doing good, Trey. I'm glad, man. I heard you were out. Trey was out, partying through my neck of the woods for a while. He had a blast, I hope. But yeah, getting to the Madden, man. So here's the thing, you guys. Just right away, I log on. You can do MUT. I turn the abilities on. My game crashes. August 7th, right away. Turn the game on. Start MUT. I can't even play it because it keeps crashing, right? I'm like, what the F? What's going on? Like, I don't understand. Like, why is this happening? I was confused. Like, it took me basically like a couple days to be like, damn, okay, I'm going to turn off all the abilities, remove them, see what happens. Lo and behold, I can play, right, Trey? Like, I can play, and I'm like, okay, I could play. So I make that video for people. I'm really glad that it helped the people. Some of the people are still writing me saying, "Hey, I didn't know this. Thank you so much." So, thank you to our YouTube subscribers out there, the YouTube people visiting this channel. Also, side note, make sure you go check out Trey and Treeb's YouTube channel, Trey's own personal channel. It is a lot of hilarious stuff, and then Trey on his personal channel does some awesome stuff as well. So go check it out. Trey will be able to drop the exact links when he gets back on. But no, just break it in. So basically, I asked EA help when I during this 48 hours, like, hey, I can't play. Like, what's going on? I spent money, yada yada yada. Please, please let me know. Please help me. And no response, nothing, nada. So I'm like, okay, like, what am I supposed to be doing here? You know what I mean? Like, I can't play the game. I just spent money. Like, I got it early on purpose. I'm trying to be MCS comp. Nothing. So then a couple days later, I figured out the whole like turn the abilities off. I'm able to play, right? So I'm like, cool. People told me EA is like, oh, it's possibly with the new patch. Other people were like, yeah, it might be with the new patch. Turn the abilities back on. You're able to play. So I'm like, cool. They just do a patch, I believe, this Thursday morning, which I covered. And guess what, you guys? I turn the abilities on and my application crashes. So I am going to be playing in the first tournament against pro players who have their abilities working. So there's some sort of bug. with my game and certain other people because it's just not me. I've had over like 600 or 700 views on this and like enough comments where like I know it's not me. So it's kind of messed up by that. So I'm like, I hit up EA Help again. I get a response. They're like, do this, 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 this. I'm like, I already did this, 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 this. They're like, make a new account. You can make a new account and maybe it'll work for you. Well, I don't even know how to really do that. And do I lose my players? Do I lose all the money that I spent on? Like, how asinine is that, though? You know what I mean, Trey? Like, how asinine are you, like, oh, make a new account? Like, fix your game, EA. Fix it. You know what I mean? Fix it. Okay, so that's not even like then the first MCS tournament is here this weekend, Trey, Saturday and Sunday, and then all next Friday, all next Saturday, all next Sunday. Basically, you have August and September with a bunch of tournaments. October is kind of dead for tournaments from the MCS, and then you got November and December. Well, so I'm like, okay, cool. I've been playing a lot. I spent a decent amount on my team. I've been working with the UMC crew. I'm like, okay, let's go. Log on today. I start playing a game, and this guy's motioning. And I've dealt with motion, so before anyone's like, "Whoa, it's no," I've dealt with the motion where people are motioning. I motion, you know what I mean, the automatic motion, yada yada. There's a specific play, and possibly in two different formations, gun bunch and Y off gun, where there's an auto play where they quiet the crowd down, and as they do it, it dumbs out your defender. So if you're in man coverage, which happened to me, because I tried to switch to man, my man starts uh, gyrating on the sidelines. I mean, really, just giving it to the sidelines as he ran by for an easy, 50-yard pass. Um, I did the zone. I did a soft flat and a hard flat once. He had enough time. Once he gets it over the top, he dropped it in for a 30, 40-yard pass again. So I'm like, screw it. I am going to go over and user it myself and cover the other area. I did it, but then he put a running back on the wheel route, and the wheel route is kind of OP right now. It's not really glitchy to me. It's just a little OP, and he'd hit that, or he'd um, throw a quick slant. So he was a very good player where he knew how to benefit off the motion glitch. So I'm like, bro, like, am I just an idiot? Like, am I dumb? Like, I don't know how to stop it. Like, I've never seen it before, right? So I'm like, and again, it's not the same motion automatic that other people are doing or I'm doing. It is a certain thing they are doing. So I go to the MCS Discord, and you got tons of pros. I'm not going to name them all, but you got tons of pros that are like, yo, this motion glitch needs to go. And it's a specific couple that I just talked about right now, right, Trey? So it's a specific couple plays in the formations that dumb out your defense. So the head moderator of MCS is running it on the Discord and on is going to be on the site that we use. They're like, we know all about it, but they haven't banned it yet. They're like, we'll wait on EA to decide on that. Then people are like, yo, what about the play a friend glitch? Where if you go to play a friend and you're at home, the home art and home stuff doesn't act up correctly. It doesn't work correctly. So you're at a disadvantage if you're at home compared to if you're on the road. So now MCS might be postponed. So I don't know how they're going to do it. Right now, they're like, the head moderator, Trey, is like, no, we're not. There has been no word of postponing. There has been nothing that we've talked about. Like, we're awaiting them. Um, right now, it's good to go, Trey. Right now, they're going to be like, yo, we're doing this tournament because they set it up, right? It's big time money, like, and it's a big 5-day event, so it's gonna be hell in a cell, anyways, Trey. But yeah. Long story short, there's a big motion glitch going on that most pros want gone, and I agree with them on this. Like, there's some stuff where the zones were too tough, or like, hey, I'm in dollar and this guy wants to be a bot and do power runs, and I shouldn't get pancaked. Wham! They're just being crybabies there because there's a reason why they want to do it. It's an advantage. This one, I agree with them because it is really dumbing out your defense. It's really not making the game fun. And like I've told you, Trey, and I've told everybody that when I stream and everything, probably the first couple weeks are the funnest for Madden or college football because people aren't spamming a bunch of meta, or they're not spamming glitches where it dumbs out your computer, dumps out your thing, and it's not a real like, hey, I'm doing a cover 3, cover 4, cover 2 beater, or I'm doing a man beater. It's like, oh, I'll do this, and then I make your computer spin like they're in ballerina, and then I run by them. It's kind of like, a couple years ago where they had the whole like do a RPO, but the QB runs out, Trey, and it dumbed out your defense. And if you guard the QB, they throw it over, yada yada. So I mean, I agree with the pros on this one. And I do apologize for the lack of streams. Like I said, I'm gonna be streaming a lot. Once my youngest goes to kindergarten, it'll be late night streams Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday will be the podcast with Trey every other Friday. We might do it during the day like we're doing now, but if it can't work out, it will go back to nighttime. And then I might stream off and on during the day all the other times, possibly. But I've been working with the UMC crew. But anyways, Trey, so long story short, there's what you got. It wasn't really a short story, though.
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate the long story. You definitely went into detail. I mean, it is wild though because you spend all this money on packs, and EA Sports basically says we'll just create a new account. Like, could you imagine if you moved into a new house and you got all set up and then someone robs it and the police come by and say, "We'll just move into a new house." That's all you got to do. But no, it's definitely crazy. So like you said, you're gonna get back into streaming more. So besides the motion glitches and everything else like that, because we're kind of in the beginning, because you kind of touched on it before, where there's not a whole lot of meta at the moment. This is kind of the time where everyone's kind of figuring out what stuff works and what stuff doesn't work, that sort of thing. but if you had to make an assumption, do you think that this year's game is going to be more pass heavy? And do you think that the run game, obviously patches and stuff will come by that we can't predict. That's going to change the game, but assuming the game stays relatively to where it's at right now, could you see the running game making a comeback in this year's game?
You know, they are starting to have like the meta, right? So like you're starting to have the crossfire against the loop, right, where the defense end will come in, and then you have the 4-3-6-1 they're using, but the biggest one right now is mug. So they are having mug as a meta, but it's not horrible, especially if you know how to block it. Side note, everyone, I will be putting out a tip video premiering tomorrow on how to block the mug. Also, honestly, Trey, it will be a pass heavy game, but if you are an elite runner, you'll be able to run enough and be good enough. But I do believe it's a super pass heavy Madden right now, but who knows what the patch will do, right? A new patch has come up, it changes certain things, but no, right now, like I can run pretty well, Trey. So I'm not that worried about it. I think you'd be able to run if you need to run. You have good enough vision. So that's where we are right now on it, Trey.
Sorry about that. So would you say that when it comes to run, because I know you're someone that likes to tote the rock, so, and you could figure out a way to run every year, so would you say you kind of like it when a Madden isn't so run heavy? Because then if it's super run heavy, then that means people that aren't good at running run and it just kind of complicates things further.
Oh yeah, definitely, Trey. I actually prefer a heavier pass Madden because what it makes me do is that I know that I will be able to sit right and worry about stopping your pass because they're not going to be able to run good enough. And honestly, for me, if you have good vision, Trey, like if you have good vision, right, you will be able to run. Like there's some I put out some TikTok shorts and some YouTube shorts showing you how I run the ball, and it shows like you need very good vision, and there's a certain way that you don't want to run the ball because if you're doing this certain thing, you won't be able to, you know, run as easy. But yes, Trey, so I prefer a pass heavy game.
All right, Shane definitely prefers the pass happy game. So I think like visually the most distinctive, and I've seen videos on this is heavy snow making a comeback. I'm not sure if heavy snow is an ultimate team. I'm gonna say that I'm probably 90% sure that snow isn't in ultimate team, and I'm pretty sure it's only in online head-to-head type settings, franchise, that stuff like that. But it's pretty cool, and it was kind of funny because I seen a screenshot of Reddit where you see the snow and all the players are wearing white jerseys, so you can't even see what the players is. So I made a comment that was like, when spirits get together in the afterlife for a game of football. So I thought that was kind of funny. So there was that. And then there was also a gameplay feature. We kind of talked about the ignore the defender option, and I talked about this when it was first announced, and I kind of said that it wouldn't do much in terms of helping the A gap, like the double mug blitzes and stuff, which Shane's gonna be telling you how to block it. So there is a way to block it, but as far as it still being as effective, we still see dudes flying through the A gaps and the B gaps all the time. So I would say my prediction was right on that regard. Not sure if ignore the defender does anything at this point. But Shane, the question that I want to ask you is the custom zone feature. Is that a feature that you have personally messed with at all? Have you heard other people that have messed with it? And what's your opinion on the custom zone feature?
So Trey, I will say the untarget the user works on certain blitzes, and then certain ones it doesn't help you at all. So you are partly correct on that. There's certain ones that still like kind of dumb out and all that, even with the target untarget. But there is one that definitely picks up the blitz, but not to give too much away. Um, Sorry, ask the last question again, Trey. I totally just gapped out.
Nah, it's all good. I was gonna ask you about the custom zone feature. Is that a feature that you've messed with at all, and what's been kind of the feedback on what you've seen regarding the custom zone feature?
Okay, thank you. No, I haven't honestly. I haven't used the custom zone feature really at all. I mean, I've been flipping like, like zone coverage like 10, 20 yards, 15, 0. Like I'm much better on that Trey than I ever used to be. Like you remember how bad I was at it on that where I would never ever do it. Honestly, I haven't seen tons of people doing it, and nobody's really bragging it up, Trey. Unfortunately, because what a lot of people are doing is when they do use meta mug blitz, they are basically just spamming Texas 2, which is a stunt, and they're in man coverage, and like the top pros will be like, they'll adjust behind it, but a lot of it is man based. So that's where people are using it. So like I haven't seen tons of the custom like stem zone, but like it probably will come back, when abilities are a huge mainstay again. And speaking of that, screw you, EA, for not letting me have an ability.
Yeah, no, definitely. Screw you, EA, for not having an ability. I guess the one silver lining to this whole thing is that it is early in the year, so there's not really a whole lot of abilities that you can put on your stuff, but there is no excuse for that sort of thing. You should be able to put abilities on it, especially someone like yourself that's pre-ordered the game, got the most expensive bundle you could, and even spent money after that. Like they should be treated, they should be treating you like a king. Instead, it's like they they could care less at this point. But with that being said, so we talked about the custom zone feature, the on target defender. Shane's 50-50 on that. He's saying in some situations it's effective, but in other situations it doesn't really mean anything. So if we were to take this game as a whole, like talking about pure gameplay, right? Because obviously there's visual things that are different about the game, but would you say that there's a like how much different, if at all, is this game to last year? If you were to just remove everything else, do you think you'd be able to tell the difference between this game and last year?
Honestly, like here, I'll even expand that just a little bit off your question, Trey. So comparing this game to College Football 26, Madden 26 is a hands down better game right now than College Football 26. Just by user defense, just by a lot of things, just the gameplay feel. Like I'm honestly impressed overall with Madden 26. I think this is one of their better games to start the year, Trey. User defense is like exceptional. If you can switch up and you jump the route, you are gonna pick off the ball, Trey. You are gonna make plays. Your user does matter. Um, the gameplay feels great. The kicking meter, man, I posted that video and it is doing pretty well. So shout out to everybody checking it out. I'm pretty good at kicking field goals, but I would say like if you had to be like, hey Shane, how good are you in your opinion? I'm probably a B plus A minus, where a lot of people are honestly Trey like C plus, like they can't kick outside 45. So go check out the video; it will help you. I promise you. But outside of that, Trey, like for the first, what is this? August 15th, it's the second day for worldwide release and like 8 days since early access. Honestly, besides the motion glitch, which you can complain about almost every year, and you can talk about, the meta, blah blah blah. They did do a good enough deal to try to do unguard the user, unguard the player, whatever. Like it was better than I thought. And you're like I said, you're partially right on what your take is, but like if they bring back pinch protection with unmark or unguard that player, it will be exceptional and it would be even bigger chess. But overall, Trey, for right away, it is one of the better games that I've played in probably 5 years, honestly.
Alrighty, so Shane seems to be pretty high on this Madden. And Shane's the kind of guy. We have this conversation, and I would say Shane is kind of lukewarm towards new Maddens for the most part. He doesn't really get too high or too low, but you know, it's been a couple days since Madden's come out, and it seems like he's pretty on the high side, and he's on the high side because he smokes a lot of weed. No, I'm just kidding. But he seems to be pretty high on Madden. So we'll see if that continues later on into the year. So with that being said, I do kind of want to get you because your last stream that you you did was the player building stream, right? Where you spent your money on the team. So were you able, like, what's your team sitting at right now? Were you able to get some good cards, or is your team still not quite up to par with the other pros that are kind of out there?
Trey, honestly, I am not going to blame it if I struggle in the tournament, at least right now. It is still really, really ridiculous on how much money you have to spend. And yes, you can build coin. Like people will be like, you can build your team with no money spent, but I would tell you that you're not going to win the tournament, or you're not even going to be top 300 in the tournament if you don't spend enough or a lot. I know there's tons of pros who have spent like a grand or more. Some have spent 1,500, which they're gonna make that money back in streams off of making top 8 runs. My team's pretty good, Trey. Unfortunately, like tomorrow, there's legends coming out, so my team's gonna get weaker because I can't afford to spend more money. Where people definitely will be able to, but my team's pretty good right now, Trey. I'd say my team's pretty darn good right now. There's some spots that I'd like to fill where to make it better, but overall my team's pretty good, Trey. Like it's not like horrible, it's not even middle. I'd say it's pretty good.
All right, so Shane's rocking with a pretty steady roster at the moment. So with Madden, like, would you say that I don't? You probably haven't got to play a whole lot of Madden so far, but from what people have been saying and from what you've experienced, do you think that the rewards that you get from playing the game and grinding seasons and things of that nature, do you think that even if you have like a solid team to start out, you're able to kind of make coins if you're just active on the game for a lot of the time?
You know what, Trey? I mean, that honestly, bro, is a real good question. And you know what, man? I have played more than I normally would, but I'm still way behind, the guys that are on like 8, 10 hours. Like I just can't do that. But no, actually, yes. Like, so I was in Legend All Pro head to head seasons because they didn't release All Madden until yesterday. But yeah, I was in All Pro head to head seasons. I won in Legend, and the you got 200,000 in coins, and then your XP goes way up. You're honestly, bro, if you're really good, like if you're an elite player, right? If you are elite, you can spend like probably anywhere to 500 to 1,000 at the start of the year and never spend it again. Spend any more money if you don't want to, because I mean, people that play 8 to 10 hours a day, and let's say they win like 3, 4 tourneys, or not 3, 4 tourneys, but 3, 4 seasons, right? That's 800K right there a day. If they play 6 days a week, what is that? 4.8 million they could average out a week. I mean, there's a lot of good people. There's a guy who was like 45-0. So right there, in a week he made what, almost seven championships, 1.5 million. So it's not as much as I thought, but like still, like you can make a couple million a week, bro, playing this. So yes, I think the rewards are better than it has been in years past as well. But don't get it twisted, you have to be really good still, or you have to spend money.
Right, and so the first tournament is going to be this weekend. Obviously, you're kind of going into it a bit handicapped, I would say, but as to be expected. And there's obviously rumors that we don't know if it's going to be a thing. They might postpone it, but you know, all the MCS events are going to be MUT. It's the same thing. I don't even know the last time they didn't have a tournament that wasn't all MUT. So going into this year, did you think that there was a possibility? I know you have someone you talk to that kind of gives you insight from time to time on the competitive events, but we might have talked about this, but I kind of forgot. So did you think that there was a small possibility that this year they would have different tournaments outside of MUT, or was it kind of wishful thinking and you kind of knew deep down it was going to be all MUT again?
Honestly, like the guy that I know that gives me insight once in a great while, especially, since, he is way higher up now, so obviously I don't hear from him as much, and I don't bug him as much as in past. But he did try to tell me that they're trying to do either regs or MUT draft to start the year. There was that discussion at the table. There's also a discussion at the table about making, Switch Stick only have 2 or 3 times where you can switch up on it and all that stuff. So it wasn't OP, and none of it happened. None of it happened. I'm not surprised, Trey, at all. I'm not surprised at all because even the guy told me Mutt's a moneymaker. And the whole joke where I and you talk about when the pro said, I want unlimited Mutt, and EA was like, say less. The guy that I talked to laughed and said, basically. So, I mean, all these people asked for it, and look what happened. Now it's the whole thing, right? The whole thing is, um, yeah, go do unlimited Mutt for every tournament. So that's where we are right now for this Madden society, I'll say.
Indeed, the Madden Society is very rich. They don't want you unless you're able to spend money so that they can disperse the wealth between itself. It is very much like a cult, but it is what it is. It's a cult that we're kind of into at this point, so we kind of have to just take it as is. So, going forward, because obviously the MCS tournaments are coming, that's going to be something you're going to do. Are you still kind of on the fence as to if you're going to be doing tournaments or money games on Players Lounge or Gamer Saloon, or is that still kind of up in the air for you at this point?
You know, I want to. I really, really, really want to do that. But like I said, I think I might have said this on stream with you or on the podcast, but I want to make sure my team's as good as possible because a lot of it is now Mutt, the bigger ones. Even money games, like maybe I'll get back to money games at the end of the in January or February and see how Gamer Saloon is doing and see if they're doing that. And then yeah, hell yeah, bro, I'll be doing money games and tournaments again. But if my team is good enough in Mutt, I'll definitely play until at least April where I'm doing tournaments on Gamer Saloon or Players Lounge or money games. So definitely it will happen. It just won't happen as soon as it used to, just due to the fact of, you know, it's all about Mutt now, right? Like in the past, like when I was doing money games and Mutt, remember Trey, it was only $20 I had to spend for that one salary cap team because it was salary cap. Unlimited Mutt, like I've put in all my money here and focus on Mutt because that's the one where like I need to make sure, you know, that I have all my eggs in this basket, but still a few eggs outside the basket. So after the Mutt tourneys are done, I am able to, do either Mutt tournaments with my team, Mutt money games, or just say hell to it and see, if regs is a major factor and jump on that, Trey.
Yeah, you definitely need to get back to your roots because you are definitely a online head-to-head a Rex Demon, and it's probably been a while since you even played it, so its stuff might have changed back then, but it'd definitely be fun, I think, if you're to get back to your roots and play online head-to-head. So we'll definitely see when Shane's going to return to the Players Lounge slash Gamer Saloon rally in a sense, but. All right, Shane, I'm going to pivot. Your neck's going to break because I'm pivoting so hard from this topic to another. But, you brought up later in the stream that you have a son that's going to be attending kindergarten. So, and I was just curious, like, as a father, when you kind of make it to your kid's first day of school, is it kind of a sigh of relief that, oh, thank God I finally made it made it to this day, or is it kind of what's kind of the mixed emotions that kind of goes through that, because this is your second time you did it?
So the first child is, 19. And this one is 5, so there's a huge separation, right? I was super young when I had my oldest. I'm older on the older side with the youngest. So you just react differently, and that's just scientifically how life is and how people are. If you don't grow, right, Trey, and you never expand from being 21 to 40, you're probably, I don't want to say this rudely, but you probably aren't cut out for this world if at 40 years old you're the same person at 21. Unless at 21, right, Trey, you were like super, super mature. So, like I tell everyone, when I was younger, I had all the energy in the world for my oldest when he was little. But the patience was on the low end. I'd get annoyed more, right? Um, a spill, I might be like, just more annoyed. Like nothing bad. Like nothing like you're like, oh my gosh, Shane, what? No, it's just I think most parents would understand what I'm talking about on that. Whereas now, I'm older, like I think he spilled spaghetti on me. Like he dumped a whole plate of spaghetti. I believe it was spaghetti or lasagna on my nice white t-shirt. He was like 2 years old and he just was like, screw it. My youngest, I don't want this anymore. It went all over my lap, all over my shirt. And I don't know, man. I just kind of smiled and was like, whatever, and cleaned it all up, cleaned him up, made sure he ate. And like the difference right there is like, I wouldn't have reacted that way when I was like 21, 22. I'd been like annoyed and pissed off that I had to clean up the mess. Whereas like, whatever, dude, because I'm gonna tell for anyone like that's about to have a kid or is it just having your first little one, you are going to be tired. You are going to feel like you're crazy at times. That's normal. And I'm being honest. You are going to be exhausted. You're mentally looking after a little tiny raisin, basically. That's what they look like at times when they're newborns, right? Constantly crying, constantly. So, my word of advice, if for the new parents out there, if you're getting frustrated or tired and you're like, I just need a nap, like, hopefully you have a community around you like grandparents or aunts and uncles, right? They can come over and be like, hey, take a nap, go, you and your spouse go out for a little bit, get away, we'll watch. Because we had the youngest one, Trey, and I'm sorry, I'm going off a whole story on this, but we had the youngest around COVID where you couldn't be around people by rules and regulations and all that stuff, yada yada. And it was taxing, and we were older parents. Like I mean, I was in my mid 30s, my wife was in her early 30s, and it was just like a huge like wow. And like for the first year, like I was extremely tired, stressful, I had bad anxiety. It's a whole new thing because with my oldest, I was working outside the house full time, right, Trey? So we'd drop him off at daycare. I'd come pick him up, or my wife would pick him up because she'd get off earlier sometimes. I'd come out home, I'd hang out with him, we'd play with him for a few hours. Then, it's bedtime, wake up, go to work, yada, yada. With the little guy here, I'm blessed where I can make money at home. And the first year, like I said, stressful, tired, anxiety ridden. Um, didn't really have outside help just due to the world situation. Um, but I would always tell myself, Trey, right? Enjoy this because it will be gone one day and it will be gone forever. That's why when you have grandchildren, if you're blessed with grandchildren, you soak it up even harder because you see your little one again in a different body, right? You see your child had a kid that kind of looks like your child, but it's your grandkid mixed with, the spouse. But so, if to answer your question, Trey, I was excited like when he was like 2 or 3, like, oh, pretty soon I'm going to be free in the sense of drop him off. He'll be able to learn at school, have fun, because that's what I want him to do. Then I'll pick him up after I, do what I do at home to make money, pick him up, spend 4 or 5 hours with him, get back on the grind of trying to make money again. On now, bro, like I'm gonna be honest, man. Serious conversation here is I'm starting to get a little bit sad feeling and a little bit like anxiety feeling of just like, damn, he doesn't even know that he's gonna go to school for the next whatever 12 years, and possibly college if he wants. He's about as innocent as you can ask, right? Because at 5, 6 years old, they're innocent. There's a study that basically about 7 or 8 is when they start to lose their innocence. So at 5 or 6, he's still innocent, and it's just gonna be hard, man, because I've had him every step of the way, Trey. Like my oldest, my oldest and I have a great relationship, but at the same time, I would drop him off or pick him up, but he'd be at school, but I'd be working outside the home. But now it's like, damn, man, I'll be working at my house. He'll be at school, and there's just like a little bit of yearning for me to like, where I'd want to be like, yo, I want to go get him, and I can't because he has to be in school. So honestly, Trey, I feel a little bit more sad than I did with the oldest, just because I work from home. So yeah, it's a little bit like, I don't know, a little bit more emotional. Like I know some parents are like, thank God I'm free. Like, you know, like, I see the TikToks, I see people like, I can't wait until like summer break is over so I can do what I want. Like, I can go here, I can go there. But it's like, I want to enjoy every step of the way, Trey. Maybe I'm a little odd on that. Maybe I'm a little bit overprotective of my kids, but I'm a little bit more sad than I thought.
Yeah, no doubt, definitely. Definitely a whirlwind of emotions. Like when it comes to fatherhood and parents and stuff. Obviously, it's everyone else probably has their different ways that they kind of cope with that sort of thing. But like you said, the support system is definitely very important. So, and I guess it kind of helped because I mean, and it's kind of rare too, right? Because you said your oldest is 19, so he was kind of at the age when you had your youngest, to where he's kind of old enough to kind of take care of his brother too, right? In a sense, when he was growing up.
Oh, I mean, like not the first 2 years. Like he would help out, but like I said, I was all hands on deck. My wife, when she got home, was all hands on deck because it's a little baby, right? You know what I mean? Like I don't expect like a 14-year-old to know how to do newborn stuff, right? But like my oldest Corey, he's been, I mean, A plus plus when it's come to his younger brother for helping out at times and for hanging out with him since he's gotten like 3, 4, 5 years old. Like they have a special relationship. It's a huge gap, right? It's a huge, huge gap. So like Corey and I joke, when Corey's 30, my youngest Cade will be a teenager. They'll think if Corey is the old man in the family. So it's funny, but no. Yeah, man, like I said, just word of advice: if the baby is screaming too much and you do not have a support system, please just put the baby down in the crib. Make sure nothing can get on them, and go outside, take a deep breath, and come back in and resettle in, right? Because I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into it, Trey, but I think you know where I'm getting at with this. But just hopefully people, new parents, you do need a support system. If you don't have a support system and you're young, it's gonna be really, really tough. And also another word of advice, and I'm older now, man, and I know it's like, like damn, listening to an old man yell at the clouds, but it is kind of true. And even when I was younger, Trey, I would listen to older people if they're telling me something for advice because they've lived it, right? Most of them have lived it. They've seen life, they've seen death, they've gotten fired, they've gotten rehired, they've been poor, they've been broke. We're talking about normal people, we're not talking about the elite. But another thing is, word of advice that I have told people in the past, people didn't listen, some of them broke up: make sure if you are a young person, or if you've never had a kid before and you're 29, 30 years old, make sure you and your spouse are still able to have date nights at least once a month. Because if you don't and you have a baby who's colicky, it adds amount of stress on you that you will never understand, and it can make you and your relationship break apart with your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife. So I'm just saying, make sure that you are checking in on your spouse at the same time and doing stuff with them as well.
Alrighty, Shane, dropping some gems. Shit, might have to start putting this type of content on the Patreon page, because Shane's definitely dropping them gems. I like it. Alright, so we talked about Madden, did a little bit of family talk, and I enjoyed it. So I want to kind of switch gears, Shane. Did you get a chance to see the Seattle Seahawks play the Raiders at all? And if so, what is kind of your takeaway in it? Are there any other preseason games that you've been kind of watching, or have you not really been locked in at this point yet?
Honestly, bro, I haven't been locked in. Like I said, I saw that the Seahawks tied 23 up with Pete Carroll, which is hilarious to me. Just for fun, it was funny, but nah, man, I really haven't done much on the whole NFL thing. Like, I've been focusing more on my Seattle Mariners, and then ordering, buying uniforms for the youngest, and then doing Madden. What is your whole take? What have you thought about the NFL preseason so far, Trey?
Yeah, no doubt. So, I've been seeing some stuff, and, Shadur Sanders is probably the biggest storyline. He's going to be playing tomorrow. They play the Eagles at 10 a.m. on NFL Network for anyone else that wants to check it out. But I didn't get a chance to see the last one because I was in Spokane. But, he definitely played pretty good, and I watched an analysis video on it. And it seemed like because everyone was kind of hyping him up, saying, "Oh, Shadur did so good," which he did. But I mean, the analysis video that I saw on this guy's, his name is JT O'Sullivan. He's like a legit like quarterback. He breaks down all the quarterbacks, so it's not like this guy's like a hater or someone that has an agenda to be negative towards Shadur. But he gave his opinion and said he did good, but it wasn't really. He didn't play above like a fourth round selection. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't do it, but from what the tape said, it seems like it's still kind of up in the air, as it is with like a lot of rookies with Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, those kind of guys. And I know Milrow kind of got in and did his thing too. And for the Patriots, we didn't get to see a whole lot of Kyle Williams, but I'm still excited about Kyle Williams. I think he's going to be dynamic from WSU. But Efton Chisholm from Eastern Washington, Shane's old stomping grounds, he's from the FCS and he's been doing good. We'll see if he'll make a shot at the 53-man roster. It'll definitely be excited to see on that. So yeah, we got into preseason, and now Shane, I think it is time to get to everyone's favorite topic of the show, the Would You Rather segment. I got a couple good Would You Rather segments, but I want to know if you have something up your sleeve for this week's.
Okay, yeah, bro, this is honestly one of my favorite things to do, bro. Like, honestly, I don't know, man. I just enjoy it. Okay, mine is more light humored, Trey. So on my segment of the would you rather have scary horror films play on a loop every time you shut your eyes, or have the Macarena stuck in your head whenever you're awake? What would you do, Trey?
All right, so I might be showing my age on this one, but what exactly is Macarena? I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, you want me to give you a different one then, bro? Because it's like it was super famous in the mid '90s. So I mean it's world famous, but it's like the whole dance craze, like hey Macarena, hey hey. You don't know that one at all?
Yeah, so we can just switch it. So scary horror movies every time you close your eyes, or I guess essentially just whatever you find is the most annoying song that's gonna be stuck in your head for a long time is basically the question,
Okay,
right?
yeah, let me redo it then. Okay, Trey, would you rather have horror films that are scary repeat on loop for you every time your eyes are closed, or the most annoying song to you every time you're awake stuck in your head?
Yeah, so I think for me it would probably be the most annoying song stuck in my head because I'd get annoyed, but I also just don't want to close my eyes, and then every time I close my eyes, I see like giant spiders, which would probably be the most scary. Like I wouldn't be scared at like normal stuff, and even some of the gore stuff, like the human centipede. Well, probably that's not a bad example, but like a lot of the scary movies doesn't scare me, and even like the more weird like gore films, they don't really do much for me. It's just kind of gross and anything else, which I think is kind of what they're going for. But to answer your question, I'd probably do the most annoying song of all time. What about you, Shane?
You know, I would probably do the most annoying song because I do not want to see the scariest stuff in my head over and over. I just don't think that I could handle that, man. I'd probably go crazy as hell. Whereas, where at least like when you're singing a song, it might be annoying, but like it might make you it won't scare you as much. It might bug you, but it won't be scary. But yeah, man, it's like intrusive thoughts on repeat, basically.
All right, so my first would you rather segment would be like, what would you say? Because I kind of want to ask you a question because this is gonna kind of help segue me into this. But like, what would you say is like the most annoying? Like, are you annoyed? Like, are you annoyed most by like when you have a stuffy nose or like a sore throat, like a cough, like something that's not really like serious, but just something that's like inconvenient. Like, what would you say is the worst from that? If you kind of know where I'm getting at here.
Yeah, so for me personally, it would be like being stuffed up in my whole like face because um until I found Sudafed, I swore I was gonna die when I was old in the winter with stuffed upness because I couldn't breathe at all, and it's annoying. It's not nice, and then if you do it too much, like if you try to like snort it out of you or whatever you try to do, I'd get like sinus infections. So yeah, so right there, yes, Trey, I would not love having a stuffed up face, stuffed up nose, whatever you want to say.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna go with congestion.
Okay.
So would you rather be congested for a month and a half, or would you rather just be the absolute like most sick? You can't get out of bed, you have a fever, you're throwing up, you can't keep any food down. It is just the worst sick experience you've ever had in your life. But the trade-off with that one is that it only happens for 2 nights. So would you rather deal with the annoying just kind of in a way for like a month and a half, or just deal with the worst you've ever experienced for like a day, like 2 days, we'll say?
Oh, I would honestly, I actually got that feeling, Trey, when I'm gonna answer right now for you. I would take the 2 days for sure. The worst sick you could be because like I got food poison about 4 years ago, and it was like when I say it was coming out the mouth and the other end, yeah, I was like all for 2 days straight. I had chills. I ached. I mean, it was horrible. So I would still much rather have that than in the past when I had, the sinus infection and the congestion in the winter. I would for like months off and on during the winter, the 3 months, weeks off and on. I would take the 2 days. What about you, Trey?
This might be the first time we've actually disagreed on the would you rather segment. Because I think for me, like, I wouldn't want to be like the worst I've ever experienced. Like, and I would probably agree with you as far as like the congestion thing. Like, as long as I don't have a fever, Like, because having a fever to me is like the worst thing ever. Like, I think I would honestly rather just deal with congestion for like a month than have to go through like pure hell for like 2 days. But I definitely see the logic behind that one. So, do you have another would you rather segment? Because I got one more for you, but I'll let you go if you have something else.
I do have one more, but to kind of add on to the whole sickness, that's one thing since we were talking about my youngest that I'm not looking forward to behind besides the whole emotional like all the stuff we already went on is I have actually felt pretty good, knock on wood, for the most part for the last like 5 years. But I just know that once he goes to school again, that's when I'd always be the sickest, is when my oldest would be in school, especially in elementary school, and he'd bring stuff home and I would be sick as hell all the time. So I'm not looking forward to a bunch of 5, 6 year old little grubby hands and all that stuff. So, excuse me. Here's my last one for you, Trey, of the Would You Rather segment. Would you rather be a character in your favorite TV show or your favorite TV show does not exist?
Um, I so essentially I could pick any character in a TV show and like so would I actually be that person in the TV show or would I just be kind of like the actor in the TV show? Would
Let's say that again. You cut out for me. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, no, you're good. So say I was to pick a character from a TV show. Would I essentially be like the real? Would I actually get to live his life in real life, like whatever that character is, or would it just be like I'm like acting like on a TV show? Would I?
No, you'd be living it like it'd be your real life.
You know, people are probably gonna hate me because, and this, like, Breaking Bad is probably not my favorite show. I would say Friday Night Lights would probably be my favorite show of all time. But if I could pick a character, I would choose to be Gus Fring in Breaking Bad. Although I do things different, I'm definitely not as frugal as Gus Fring is. So I'd probably be more like outgoing than he is, but I kind of always like kind of his swagger and kind of his low keyness. So I probably do that. So I would pick be the favorite character, and then everyone else doesn't get to experience probably the greatest show ever made by humans. What about you, Shane?
Honestly, bro, I'd be a character in my favorite TV show. My favorite TV show of all times is Scrubs. They are coming back with an update show, kind of like how King of the Hill did, which King of the Hill was amazing for people who haven't seen it. If you like King of the Hill in the past, they were amazing with the King of the Hill revival, and they're doing Scrubs. So honestly, Trey, I would be a character in the Scrubs EV land. I would love it actually. Plus, I'd have a lot of money.
Yeah, well, actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I wouldn't even do that one. I would probably just do like Real Housewives of whatever. I would be the husband in like whatever Real Housewives is. I would just do that then because then I'd
Yo,
cut off all the BS.
that's true. That is smart as hell, bro. I mean, you could, yeah, definitely. But I mean, with Scrubs, you'd be like, I don't know. Have you ever watched Scrubs, Trey?
um, nah, not to be honest. No, not really. That's a little bit before my time, I
Okay,
think.
okay. So with Scrubs, you could be a doctor, bro. You'd have tons of money, right? And you would have amazing friends, and then like honestly, you'd have a hot wife if you're a certain character. So, you know, that'd be always into play, though.
Yeah, no, that is definitely true. So speaking of doctors, do you think Yardstick? Do you think he has a hot wife, or have you talked to him recently?
I mean, he's definitely married to a chick that I think was his high school sweetheart. But no, I don't really talk to him, man. I the last time I talked to him was last year at the start of the year. We were cordial with each other, even though he said I run a bubblegum offense.
Yeah, no question. I just had to throw that in there since we're talking about Dodgers and stuff. But so yeah, and my other would you rather question is a Madden related would you rather. So would you rather would you rather have the MCS resume of someone like Henry, or would you rather have the Shane Got You 11 YouTube channel be like it's not going to be the most successful YouTube channel, but say hypothetically it has 250,000 subscribers, but the trade-off with that is that you're not really doing MCS at that point.
Damn, that's a good one, man. So you said 250,000 YouTube subscribers, right?
Right. Or the MCS resume of Henry.
How many championships has Henry won? Do you remember? 4?
Yeah, something like that. But also keep in mind he's the first person to be a millionaire off of the MCS, and I think he's the only one too.
Do I keep the two? Man, I know I'm breaking down into this whole thing, but do I get to have 250,000 active subs in YouTube, and I can be a YouTuber for however long I choose, and I keep 250,000 subs?
Yeah, that's a good question, honestly. So the 250,000 subscribers are like loyal subscribers, but that doesn't mean that it's like a happy ending. So it's kind of like, you kind of reached a Mount Everest, but at the same time you have to climb your way down without dying, which is just as hard. So it's not it's not like you still have to work, but it's kind of like the hardest part is over in a sense with the 250 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers.
Well, here, I'll break this down for you. So, with the kicking video that I have put out, right, Trey? I've made a little bit of money, and I only have 6,000 subs. We'll round up to it, right? So we'll break it down. I'm gonna actually break it down if that's cool with you, Trey. So let's just say I have 250,000 subs. Basically, with almost 6,000 subs, I'm almost at 4,000 views in the first couple of days of the kicking video. I've made probably, I think, almost $20 from it. So let's say I had 250,000 subs, right? Well, then you times it by 10, right? Um, let's just say I'm at $20, right? Right now you do 60,000. I'm at 200. You times it by 4. What is that roughly, Trey? $1,000 right now off of what I'm doing right now, just roughly. So like, I don't know, man, because if you make let's just say roughly 20 videos. Sorry, man, I went way deep on what you're talking about. If you make 100 videos and you make roughly $1,000 to $2,000, which is what my CPM would be like, I probably actually would rather do YouTube right now for my answer because it's more sustainable.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that because YouTube is definitely more sustainable, and the MCS is kind of a crapshoot. I mean, even if it wasn't like as ridiculous as it is now, I mean the reality of the situation is that you're one fumble or one interception or one fluke stuff happening from not making any money. So it's definitely a tough way to live. But so MCS is this weekend, right? Am I correct on that?
You are absolutely correct. They're still waiting to see if people are waiting to see if they're going to postpone the first weekend due to the EAF glitch. But as right now, it is play ball. So yep, it'll be the dates right now. Trey are this weekend and all Friday to Sunday, and then the week after is single eliminations.
All right. So if the tournament is still going on, are you going to stream the ladders? And I think you posted on the community tab that you would be streaming the ladders. So are you still at this point, pending them closing it down? Are you still planning on streaming it?
You know, I will say this. I'm gonna put it out right here. I will be streaming enough games. I might, I won't probably stream the whole day, honestly, but I will stream half the day of each day if I get enough viewers in there, and it will be free for everybody. I'm not gonna put it for only paid members. I am gonna be, it will be for everyone to come in and hang out and watch.
All right, so yeah, definitely come hang out and watch and support our guy Shane Guy 11 as he enters in this MCS tournament, which is fired up to happening. Even despite the problems, it's still good to kind of get back into it after months of not having anything competitive wise. And so the UMC crew, obviously Shane's going to be streaming. Is there anyone in the UMC crew that is going to be competing and streaming that you want, the viewers or anyone else that comes by this podcast to check out?
Oh yeah, all of them will be in it. They're all really, really good players. Go check out RG Beast on Twitch. He will be streaming. Kind of got a couple people who have lurk streams for just the crew, so obviously I can't put it out there. Got a lot of real, real good players out there. So I think we have, if you went off of last year, we have 5 top 100 players. So I am really excited on that aspect to see how we do this year. And we added a couple really solid players. One of them was top 50 last year in Blurry Cobra. Really cool guy. So he might be streaming on Twitch. I don't know if he will be streaming or not, but if he is, it'll be on Blurry Cobra, and he beats a lot of the top pros. He barely lost to Clef in a huge tournament just a couple days ago. So yeah, definitely go check him out, Trey. Anybody else you want to shout out or not?
No, not that I can think of. It seems like the UMC crew. I definitely want to shout these guys out because they've been in it, but I feel like I'm not really kind of up to date on what the current roster of the UFC is. So I guess really quickly, if you don't mind, could you tell everyone else like what the current roster of the UMC is going into Madden 25 or 26, excuse me.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely down with that. We got our guy Beast. We got our guy Cerebral, who a lot of people know just due to being like a top 100 player. We got our guy Stony, Zach, Devonte, Diggy, DJ, Edgar, aka Blurry Cobra, Freak, King Phoenix, which is a guy named Chase who was really, really good baseball player and also a very good Madden player, PJ, Joker, Fire, and then me as the owner of UMC Trey. A lot of talent in there.
Yeah, no, definitely seems like an elite level of guys. Cerebral Victory has been around for a long time. He's definitely been kind of on the fringe, so hopefully this year is when he's able to really make a deep run. And really, like, one of those guys makes a deep run and gets, the brand kind of put out there and everything is kind of the goal with this Madden stuff. So, but yeah, I guess with all that being said, we appreciate you guys for stepping in into the West Coast podcast. We will be back not this Friday, but the week after, as not only is football season approaching pretty soon, but we're getting pretty close to fall, which I'm definitely excited for because Shane and I have the same level of disdain towards the heat. Although this week hasn't really been too bad weather-wise, but I'm excited for it to kind of be cooler again and get into the fall and then the winter and then spring and stuff like that. So appreciate you guys for checking out. Make sure to check out Shane's channel if he's going to be streaming tomorrow. Usually start streaming around the morning time, 8 or 9 a.m. So turn on your notifications on. And tip videos and patch notes will also be posted. Check out my channel, Trey is Raw. And check out my brother, YouTube channel, Tree Talks, if you're interested in comedy, and he does a lot of like reality TV rankings and stuff. So check that out. And with all that being said, I'll throw it over to Shane to close us out for another edition of the West Coast Podcast.
All right, so appreciate you, Trey. Yes, really good podcast today, Trey. But you guys, hopefully, when we talk again on August 29th, I will be prepping for the single eliminations. So, knock on wood. But yes, for Trey, I'm Shane. This is the West Coast Podcast. Thank you so much.